Okay, let's also get in Amrish Paliga, who's joining in this morning, who's a managing partner for global wealth management at Edelweiss Financial Services. Amrish, morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
We've been talking about the way the yesterday's sell-off actually panned out. Today, it's again a quiet start. What's the broad strategy?
I think yesterday's fall was really unexpected, but then the trade figures actually gave it away, and the sort of a sharp fall which we saw, because of which I feel that we should see some bounce back, and that's exactly what we are seeing now. And the broad strategy possibly for the next couple of days, we feel that the market would be range bound between 5890, which is about 100 points lower than here, and possibly on the upside the same levels which we have seen in the recent past, which is 6110.
Amrish, your view as far as the two top stories this morning, Ranbaxy and Tata Steel. Ranbaxy putting in that huge settlement, Tata Steel taking a huge knock in terms of the goodwill write-off as well. Your view on both these stocks?
Ranbaxy, first of all, I think has already provided to a large extent, so I don't see too much of an effect other than a sentimental effect right now, and because of which we have seen a small correction. Tata Steel, again, I think people were expecting this for the last 1 or 2 days, because of which we saw a decent correction yesterday, and today also we are seeing a small correction, but I don't see because of this both these stocks cracking much beyond the levels they are right now.
Amrish, what would you buy in this fall? I mean, if you consider this as an opportunity at all?
I would surely look at media entertainment stocks where we have been bullish for a while, and at the same time possibly I'll look at buying FMCG, which is which I would consider more defensive at this point of time, and among them since ITC, the way we saw the correction, I think I should utilize this opportunity to pick up a stock like ITC.
What's the sense on DLF? Again, one more stock in news. Promoters are out with the IPP today. They're reducing their stake. How does it look? I mean, is it a story worth looking at right now?
I think more than reducing stake, what I would look at possibly is the asset sale which they've been doing, and been decently successful in the recent past. They have also sold off the Hyderabad property, and that I think should reduce their balance sheet size to a certain extent. But then at the same time, whether you ask me, whether I'm gung-ho about this stock, surely not. But at the same time, I don't see much of a downside from here. Earlier I was looking at a bottom of about 180, 190. Now I think the bottom would be closer to about 210, 215 levels.
Some good moves coming in the pharma space, barring Ranbaxy out there. Lupin's trading high by almost 1.8%. DRL, I'll be reporting numbers pretty soon, is trading up only 1.5%. Amrish, you were talking about the Ranbaxy stock there, but anything apart from Ranbaxy in the pharma space that's on the radar?
I think pharma space, clearly the top 3 stocks which should be there in everyone's portfolio is clearly Sun Pharma, which has been a consistent performer over the last 2 to 3 years. Lupin, which has again been showing extremely good performance for the past few quarters, and the earlier favorite Dr. Reddy's. So I think these are 3 stocks which should be there in any sort of a pharma portfolio. Because if you go back about 8-10 years, it used to be Ranbaxy, Cipla, and Dr. Reddy. So now basically Sun Pharma and Lupin has replaced Ranbaxy and Cipla.
Amrish, on the financials, how are you positioned now after the kind of sell-off that we saw yesterday? Anything, because you've got most of the numbers also come out, both on the private as well as the public sector bank, a couple of them still remaining. But in the broader sense, what's the strategy in the financial space?
Broader sense, clearly I would look at buying at lower levels. In fact, on our radar clearly is stocks like SBI, PNB. In the private sector space, it's Axis Bank and Yes Bank, because way ahead, clearly we see at least another 50 basis points cut by RBI over the next couple of months.
Amrish, we've had a couple of interesting consumer stock results come through. There were Jubilant FoodWorks. I was just looking at Tata Coffee's numbers, and Nestle the other day. What do you think of them?
Jubilant, in fact, has disappointed to a certain extent. I would say a large extent, because I think people were used to that 35, 40, 45% sort of growth year on year, and based on that, it was enjoying those high valuations. But then with the sort of results which came out, clearly I think there will be a sort of a revaluation of that stock, and it's possible that it could settle at slightly lower levels.
So what would you, do with stocks like this, including a Tata Coffee, Nestle, because the performance is not keeping up with the expectations?
Yeah, absolutely, and there is a clear slowdown on the consumer side, which we have been noticing for the past few months. The way we see it is possibly it can continue for the next, foreseeable 1 or 2 quarters, and hopefully then we should be able to see some green shoots because once the interest rate starts coming down, there is clarity on the political situation, especially closer to elections. I think that's when we should start seeing green shoots, and normally markets prepare for that at least a couple of months earlier. So in fact, the way we see it is we should see the markets possibly starting to improve. Possibly closer to about September, October this year.
All right, Amrish, we leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us this morning and getting us a perspective as to how you're reading all those cues coming in. It's been a quiet start on the index.